Hello, everyone.
Howdy, folks.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, can you still say Happy New Year when it's on January 10th?
Yes, you can.
If you ask Larry David, he would say no. But
Yeah, some people, people are divided.
Yes.
That's true. Some say it's fair game until the end of January, and others say, nope, after January 3rd or 4th, you're done. So we'll fall somewhere in the middle and say the 10th is still acceptable to wish you all Happy New Year.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were just looking, it's been 2 months since our last live stream, and as I've posted in the community, we had bugs running through our home, just the nature of the beast with having 3 kids, and some health issues and extended family members, being on the opposite end of the country from family makes things tricky at times.
It does.
But thank you for everyone watching our videos that we did. Hey, Nancy. And we are back for the new year. But before we get started, there is a lot of news today that we're going to go over that's happened in the last few days. But just want to go over some quick deals. YouTube TV currently is $59.99 for the first 3 months, so $23 off a month now, thanks to their latest price increase. And as a 3-week free trial, DirecTV Stream is still with their $15 off a month for the first 2 months for entertainment, and $20 off a month for the first 3 months for their higher tier plans. And don't forget, if you have NFL Sunday Ticket, if you're a subscriber and you don't plan on having it next year, or you're not certain about keeping it next year, go ahead and cancel it now, because Sunday football is no longer, other than the playoffs, and you don't want a nasty, expensive surprise come next football season if you're not planning on keeping it. We have a video out there from last year on it. It's pretty simple to do.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome everyone who's commenting.
Yes.
It's really good to be back with y'all again. Thanks for sticking around, even though we were gone for a few weeks. We just had some travel in there and holidays, and happy to report everyone's feeling well now. So hopefully that's the case for all of you too. Well, since we have a lot of items, I'm going to jump into our first one, which is about the NFL playoffs. I'm personally excited. You all know we're K-State fans, but I'm a Chargers fan. So I'm really happy that we are back in the playoffs, and hopefully we will win and not lose like our last time. But if you also like the playoffs, then you'll want to know that Prime Video is the exclusive streamer for the playoff game between the Ravens and the Steelers.
It's tomorrow night.
Yep, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern on Prime Video. It's nowhere else you're going to be able to watch it. Amazon paid a reported $120 million to stream the game, which is $10 million more than what Peacock paid last year. If you are in the Pittsburgh market, you can watch the game locally on Channel 11, which is WPXI. And if you're in the Baltimore market, you can watch the game locally on Channel 2, WMAR. Just wrap up of the other games happening this weekend. Chargers, that's on CBS Paramount Plus, Chargers Texans on Saturday. So it'll be on CBS and Paramount Plus. That's 4:30 Eastern. And then on Sunday, Denver Buffalo will be at 1 o'clock on CBS Paramount Plus. Green Bay Philadelphia will be at 4:30 on Fox. And then Washington and Tampa, that is, I don't have the time in front of me. Do you remember? What is that, the night game on Sunday?
No, I can't remember. It must be.
And then this is just worth noting, and if anyone is joining us from the Southern California, LA area, it's trite, but we are really thinking of you, and I have friends in that area whose houses and whatnot are in danger, so we just we're thinking of you all. But because of those fires, the Minnesota LA Rams game will take place in Phoenix now, where the Cardinals play, but it'll air on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern on Monday night. So
yeah, and it sucks that the Ravens Steelers game is on Prime Video, and continuing from last year, like Nicole mentioned, on Peacock, being the exclusive game. At least, I guess, the silver lining is for local fans that they can get it in their local market. But this is something that I believe is going to continue when I'm going to discuss that here a little bit later when we discuss the happenings about Venu that came out this morning. But it's only going to continue to happen, I think, and it's going to leave the consumer out in the cold, in the dark. So the first big news from this week, as posted in the community, and I'm sure everyone has heard of, most people have heard about now, Disney is effectively combining or merging with Fubo. Or Hulu, Disney is Hulu Live is merging with Fubo TV. They have announced a strategic merger of their live TV streaming services, aiming to create a formidable, as they call it, competitor in the streaming space. And what's important to note here is that this currently does not include on-demand Hulu. Both Hulu Live and Fubo will continue, even though they're effectively merging. They are going to continue for the time being to be available as separate offerings, maintaining their existing content and services. This merger will result in a service with over 6.2 million subs in North America. YouTube TV, notably, has last reported about a year ago 8 million subscribers. And it's expected to take 12 to 18 months to close, pending regulatory approval. And there's an indication that an investigation could be in the offing to determine whether any laws were broken, and that it's in the best interest of Fubo shareholders, which, if you follow the stock market at all, Fubo shares crazily spiked on the news of this. In all fairness, I believe the stock was trading like around $2 or $3 at the time of this, but the stock went up, I believe it was like 200 or 250%. Disney will hold a 70% stake in the new venture, while Fubo's current management, led by CEO David Gandler, will oversee operations. And this quote on it, the deal, which does not include the Hulu subscription service, will see Disney ink a new carriage deal with Fubo, allowing the company to create a new sports and broadcast service that features some of Disney's Disney sports and broadcast networks, including ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, the SEC Network, ACC Network, ESPN News, as well as ESPN Plus. That's according to CNN. And they're claiming that the merged entity is expected to generate over $7.5 billion in revenue by 2028. As a part of the merger, as a part of this initially on Monday was that Fubo announced that they're just going to drop their lawsuit against Disney, Fox, and WBD over Venu. They announced that they were going to drop it because, in short, they had come to this agreement with Disney to offer a more skinny bundle. And through this, the three companies, Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Fox, are going to pay a combined $220 million to Fubo, and Disney will provide a $145 million term loan to them. So getting $365 million from the three of these companies to help them operate. And if this doesn't work out, so let's say if regulatory approval doesn't come through, or one of the two companies gets cold feet, there's a termination fee of $130 million, which will be payable to Fubo under certain circumstances, including if the transaction fails to close due to the failure to obtain requisite regulatory approvals on terms and conditions set forth in a definitive agreement. And that's from a Disney press release. And they claim that the merger, so this is from David Gandler, the merger aims to enhance consumer choice and flexibility in streaming services, positioning the combined entity as a strong competitor to platforms like YouTube TV. Increased scale, continuing with the quote, means we have the flexibility to pursue diverse growth strategies, opening up a range of opportunities both domestically and internationally. And, they're spinning it as that this is good for the consumer. But I rarely, if ever, take what a CEO of a big company, whenever he or she says, this is going to be good for the consumer, that's a smokescreen most often, in my opinion. Because I believe, and I know other analysts and consumers all believe that a price hike is likely going to be coming in the offing from this, especially from Hulu Live, given that they have just outlaid this cash. And Gandler added that while Fubo will continue to focus on sports and news, it will now be able to provide even more options to consumers. And he says Fubo has the potential now to create skinnier sports, news, and entertainment bundles according to consumer needs. And that Hulu Live will continue to be that really tried and true cable alternative. So questions come up of, will Fubo get access to the Turner networks again? Will Hulu Live get access to the RSNs? Those are great questions. They have come out and said that they will talk together, but nothing is set in stone regarding that. So sorry, it's one last quote here regarding this. The combined company will negotiate carriage agreements with content providers for both Hulu Live and Fubo services. And Fubo's management team will be the ones handling negotiations. And finally, consumer advocacy groups are already coming out, not happy with this. So Lee Hepner of the American Economic Liberties Project says, for the past year, Fubo led sports fans and industry observers to believe they were genuinely interested in challenging Disney's illegal joint venture in sports streaming, only to cash a check and leave consumers and the entire streaming industry worse off. And so there's a lot there. Whenever Disney's involved, I'm not a Disney fan. They are not for affordability. They're generally, in my opinion, not for the consumer, even though they will pitch it as that. We're actually going to be recording a predictions video next week. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Fubo and Hulu Live if they end up at the end of the year or 2 years end up merging together completely. It'll be interesting to see. And
also, one thought I had about the two of them merging and what eventually shakes out, to your point, if regulators even approve it, Fubo had some capabilities on its platform that Hulu Live doesn't. And so it'll be interesting to see if they bring that over coupled with ESPN Bet and really try to monetize or leverage Fubo's kind of features to make it like easier to place bets from your TV while you're watching games, all within Disney's ecosystem. I would have to think that's part of where they're going with how they're going to make more money out of this. And I agree that it seems inevitable that a price hike is coming. Yeah,
and absolutely Space Ghost. I think Disney was shooting for a monopoly, and I'm going to touch on that here with the Venu issue. And relative to Fubo, I always sort of saw their argument against the three companies on both sides. Now I see them just as bad as the three companies, because they were out there saying, we're fighting for the consumer. This isn't going to be good, which we knew in part was they were fearful of their company being eradicated, being, made extinct. But then they go, okay, well, you give us a check and we're going to quietly go away. It is effectively what happened. So I wasn't under any delusion by any means, but it's both are just as bad. And so we see what their price tag was, $365 million. So I guess hopefully it allows them to stick around because more choice is better, but who knows? Who knows? And these are interesting times in the streaming space for sure. And so you get to hear from me next about Venu. As I posted in the community this morning, Venu is now no longer. Initially, on Monday, everyone thought, well, this just opens the door for Venu. Analysts were coming out and reports were coming out saying that Venu was going to hope to launch by the Super Bowl. And I had a whole thing written up for that. Well, that all obviously changed this morning. All systems were go. But this morning, they issued a press release, the three companies, Fox, Disney, and Warner Brothers Discovery, saying they are discontinuing the service effective immediately with no plans to launch it. The joint statement reads, quote, "After careful consideration, we have collectively agreed to discontinue the Venu Sports joint venture and not launch the streaming service. In an ever-changing marketplace, we determined that it was best to meet the evolving demands of sports fans by focusing on existing products and distribution channels. We are proud of the work that has been done on Venu to date and grateful to the Venu staff, whom we will support through this transition period." Unquote. And so definitely interesting to see, given that the service was announced almost a year ago, it was mid-February of 24, and given the legal hurdles that they were facing and Disney's plans to launch the ESPN direct-to-consumer service later this fall, I wasn't terribly shocked, but it is interesting to see. So it really, I think, comes down to three key reasons why we saw this. The first one is the Fubo deal that was just made this week, and the DirecTV deal that they made with Disney at the end of last year, offering access to, or the ability to launch skinny bundles that are sports focused. And so with Venu being communicated it was going to be at the $43 price point, it's arguable that Fubo and DirecTV could put out there something similar, not the same, but similar at the same general price range. Secondly, Tuesday it came out that DirecTV and Dish, Echostar, even though Fubo had said we're dropping the lawsuit, they had been a part of the lawsuit, and they said, wait a second, not so fast. We want to be a part of it, or we want it to continue. And the two satellite companies sent a letter to U.S. Judge Margaret Garnett Thursday stating their continued desire to fight it. And this is from the Hollywood Reporter. The first quote is from Echostar, second is from DirecTV. Quote, "Through the settlement and acquisition, the defendants have purchased their way out of their antitrust violation." Again, that was Echostar. DirecTV, quote, "This settlement clears the path for Venu to launch unencumbered by removing the injunction the court imposed to preliminarily prevent the immediate and irreparable harms the joint venture presents. DirecTV is just one of several non-parties that expressed grave concerns about the impact Venu would have on competition for sports programming." And that suggested, I read that the senators were wanting to look at this, and so arguably more regulatory oversight, and Disney going to that monopolistic control. And the third issue was that Venu, while I guess arguably a good start, it was not a complete sports service, only offering a reported 55% of major sporting events. So what's next is a good question. What is going to happen next? Disney is reportedly going full steam ahead on its DTC service, currently named Flagship, with indications still that it's going to be in the $25 to $30 price range to launch this August. And the New York Times quoted, interestingly, an analyst from Puck News believing that Disney could potentially add Fox Sports to the flagship offering. And this would give the new platform, if that were to happen, $15 billion in sports rights, and could be a strong offering. And you add in Fox Sports, you get college football, more NFL, World Series, amongst other things. Our concern is always going to be for the consumer, and what is this going to mean for the consumer? And far too often, we are the ones left holding the bag, especially when the largest players are the ones out there trying to control so much of what the content that we watch. And that's live sports if you look at ratings, live sports is what most people watch. And the Streamable reported this week that streaming services spent a combined $10 billion on major sporting event rights in 24, which is 4 times as much as what happened 5 years prior. It's only going to grow for the time being. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens out of this. I would like to think that the ESPN service would stay in the 25 to 30 range, but this is Disney that we're talking about, and they are not for affordability. They are out to make every last red cent, which they're a company, but they do it at the expense of the customer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Definitely, and unfortunately, speaking of prices and consumers, our next story isn't great news. It's not surprising, but Discovery Plus, in case you didn't see it, is increasing its fee by $1 a month. That'll be the first price increase of 2025. Let's see, how many days? Not even like a week in, and we got one. So the ad-supported plan for Discovery Plus is rising from $4.99 to $5.99 a month, and then the ad-free plan will increase from $8.99 to $9.99 a month. New subscribers will see this price hike immediately, and current subscribers, it'll take effect during their next billing cycle or by February 7th. I guess I could say at least, the last price hike for Discovery Plus was October of 2023. So that at least, I like that they waited a while. There's nothing currently being expressed anywhere that this is going to impact Max pricing, although Max is significantly larger than Discovery Plus. Obviously, we don't like price hikes, but Discovery Plus is still relatively affordable, especially if you don't want Max and you really
if you compare it to things like Peacock or Paramount Plus, it's still cheaper.
Yeah, it's still cheaper, and if you like that kind of lifestyle content, have it on in the background as you go about your day. It's still, especially if you can stand the ads, I feel like it's still a pretty affordable price for that. Warner Brothers Discovery is undergoing a restructuring, and it announced in December that it has plans to separate its declining cable TV businesses like CNN from streaming, and then also separate it from studio operations like Max, so HBO, which has now just been rebranded as Max, which could set the stage.
Not the HBO channels.
True. I guess I'm just thinking the studios, all the HBO original content. That's what I was meaning there. Those studios that produce that. They want to separate that from their declining cable business. It could set the stage for a potential sale or spin-off of its TV businesses as more cable subscribers cut the cord.
Yeah, and just a couple comments in the comment section. I agree with you, Space Ghost. The Fubo user experience generally is pretty good. We've always liked it when we've tested it and had it. But I agree, they've lost too many channels, too many goofy sports, or not goofy, too many niche sports, and too many fast channels. And and I would say hopefully Hulu Live, Disney would help, but at least I think the Hulu Live user experience is far inferior. So I have no hopes of that. And then question about, do we think if the ESPN streaming service will have Fox Sports. I've only seen the one analyst say that there's a potential for that. I personally would like to see, if they do add it, that it's offered as an add-on and not as something forced. But this is Disney, and so I would either imagine it being forced, or they have 8 different tiers that have different names, and pricing is confusing and makes it difficult for the consumer to understand, is what I would see or foresee happening.
That's fair.
I hope I'm wrong, but
that's fair.
It's Disney.
Just enough details to confuse you into somehow spending more money.
Yes, exactly.
For something you don't need. Okay, well, let me jump into our next topic quickly. This is just on fast services. No surprise that as YouTube TV increased its price, and those cable alternatives are up there. Prices are getting higher. More people are turning to fast services to save money. Roku Channel put out a press release showing that it hit 90 million streaming households the first week of this year, and that's up from 85.5 million users in October. So that is, showing some fast growth, which is good for them. Roku is now claiming to be in half of all U.S. households that have broadband access. And then Tubi, another leading fast service, it says that it has surpassed 97 million active monthly users, which is up from 80 million users about 6 months ago. That's a lot of growth. And it claims to be reaching over 10 billion streaming hours last year, with the world's largest content collection at over 275,000 movies and TV episodes and more than 300 originals. So one other little article from the Daily Mail, it went so far as to claim that Tubi is now a rival to Netflix with those kind of numbers. It's interesting. I guess I hadn't thought of it that way because Netflix has more original content, but it's maybe worth a debate as to whether or not you think they're rivals now. Certainly, I think their point is in terms of reach and users. Hub Research has reported that more than two-thirds of Americans would rather watch ads instead of pay more to avoid them. Given all of that, this is promising for fast services, and it really kind of sets up a situation where it's time to start thinking about what's coming next. What's next for these fast services? What can they, some of them have like Sling Freestream has a 5-hour or 10-hour, free DVR. It'd be nice to see the other leaders do that as well. What other features can they drop in, knowing that they're going to be making money off of ads, to bring more of that paid experience that users have gotten used to over to the free space?
Yeah, and
and I'd also personally like to see more integration for people, easy ways for them to integrate their locals into the either it be Tubi or Pluto or Roku Channel.
Like what's the one for Sling?
Yep.
What's the device?
Air TV.
Yeah,
the Air
like
TV
the Air
devices,
TV.
like
Yes.
they do. So it just puts it right into your guide. That would be a good thing, I think, for them to put some money into making possible.
Yeah. So a few more comments on the comment section. Great point, Mitch, on being a Verizon mobile customer. They have a fair number of deals that you can get for lower pricing. And Jeannie, do we think if there will be a separate news channel streaming alone? It would be great to see something like that. I know it's not exactly like this, but Prime Video on election night, they had Brian Williams broadcasting, and I just read this week that they are seriously considering moving more into news. So that could be a small step in that way. I personally would like to see that, because we don't watch a ton of news, but that's probably, if we have a live service, what we have on most other than sports, but it's overwhelmingly sports. And I agree with you, Space Ghost. I hope that Google does not buy Roku. That would, it's hard to separate from Google. And
I think it's just on the news front fair to make a point of whether you're looking for your local news or whether you want a cable TV news brand, because there are free apps like Haystack News is just one that pops to mind that have quite a number of local news stations populating into it, and you can look for your city and watch that broadcast free if you don't.
And there's a growing number of local affiliates that are even going on YouTube, putting clips on YouTube. So I think we're going to continue to see that more and more as the streaming landscape continues to mature. And one last news piece that came out this week, I read rumblings about it, and the Streamable put an article out about it today. That reports are coming out that Sling is rolling out an unlimited DVR option for subscribers. And many people know that Sling, if you've used Sling, it's 50 hours is the base. You could upgrade to the I can't remember the name of this upgraded Sling DVR, but 200 hours. And now the Streamable has confirmed that Sling is slowly rolling out to targeted customers an upgraded DVR that would be unlimited, with plans to have it to all customers by the end of January, so the end of this month. I have not been able to confirm it on the Sling site or through a representative. There's no communication about it on the Sling site. They're still showing at the 200 hours. But I'm assuming that will be coming soon. They did increase prices, Sling did, to $46 a month at the end of last year. We never like price upgrades, but we like the possibility of being able to get an unlimited DVR. For us, we don't record a whole lot, so the 50-hour limit was never really an issue. But I like that they're offering it with the ability to add it, and if you don't want it, you don't have to pay it. And I personally think this is something other streaming services should take note of. Most notably YouTube TV or Hulu Live, that just like to force a price hike down your throat without adding anything. And so I would like to see that.
But Sean, in their view, they already think they're giving you a deal with what you're paying.
Yeah. Sure, they're giving me a deal. But yeah, I would like to see something like that. And just a few more comments in the comment section. So if anyone that's watching is a Sling subscriber, we'd love to hear if you have seen it on your account yet as a possibility. We were relatively happy with the NFL games on Netflix. Really didn't have an issue. And I read that WWE had really good ratings on there, and I think that's just going to continue to be the way Netflix is going to continue to go after more live sports. And
that comment about fast forwarding on the Sling TV DVR, I've been able to do it on things we record through our Air TV on our local channels. I have not been able to do that on things that you might record on Sling itself. This is through Freestream, so I can't speak to the right now off the top of my head to the paid service, but
you can.
I think you can.
Yeah, it's been probably about a year or so since we've had Sling, but back then, the last time we had it, we could fast forward. Unless
you mean fast forward through ads, in which case I do recall on some of the on our locals, we could fast forward through the ads. On some of the others, you had to sit and wait through the ads.
If it was a recording, you could fast forward through it. So, and do we think Disney Plus will add local ABC? We've been saying that for a while, but we think that would be great for them. It's Disney, so I don't see them doing it, but I think that would be a very good value add for them. So. Yeah, it would be, although it sets up an interesting decision for them going forward on how they're going to market. How do they fold live customers in? They're clearly wanting to put everything on the Disney Plus platform. Yeah,
I'm not sure how a live TV. So they'll figure out how to work it, but it'll be interesting to see if they can get everyone to think of Hulu and ESPN all as Disney, because so far they've operated those under lots of people don't realize Disney owns ESPN. Maybe they do now, but I think that didn't used to be the case.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was a lot of news for this week. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around.
And thanks, Mitch. Yes, go State.
Yes, and hopefully, wherever you're at, it's not too cold. I saw today that Atlanta was getting snow. And so,
I have a lot of coworkers in Atlanta, and their temperature was just as cold as Omaha yesterday morning.
Yeah, and I know my mom in Florida was saying that it was right around freezing, or at least in the 30s. So we've been cold, but not as bad.
Whoever you're cheering for over the coming week, have fun rooting for them. I know I saw the Ohio State comment in there. We are not Ohio State fans, but we do love Will Howard. So
as a K-Stater, I hate Texas and I hate Notre Dame. I don't really care about Penn State. So yeah.
You might have just made some enemies there, John. It's just football.
Yes, it is.
So, thanks for joining us, everyone. Stay warm. Have a great week.
Yes.
And we will look forward to seeing you all next Friday.
Yep.
Bye.